Sports Life. Welcome to Sports Life Talk. Hey, cause this is Sports Life Talk. Hey, you rock it with Sports Life Talk. Hot topics with Sports Life Talk. So come and get you some Sports Life Talk. They let us in the game, now we calling the shots. Things will never be the same, so forget what you thought. Cause life without sports ain't nothing but talk. Here we go now, finally a show that makes your heart pound. Profound, wonder what's running up through your thoughts now. About to drown our podcast, that be watered down. Tell them clowns it's a new era, and it's starting now. 5 total strangers, the 5 Power Rangers, approaching Sports Life Talk from 5 different angles. Get ready for the change up. We done turned the flame up. The topics that we bring up, we about to blow this thing up. Yeah, let's get it cracking. KT the head coach and Miss Manhattan. Gemini Jones holds the throne, she be calling them out. Mr. United Surgeon B. Jones, the mouth of the South. From the cover athlete to the yeet of the week, we got what you need. We dropping what's hot in the streets, from copping new sneaks to locals popping, doing big things. When gossip and tea, let Kimberly pour you a dream. Sports Life Talk, who is them? Went from not listening and now you're tuning in. If you're feeling what you're hearing, tell a friend, tell a friend. Thank you for listening, let the show begin. Sports Life Talk, who is them? Went from not listening and now you're tuning in. If you're feeling what you're hearing, tell a friend, tell a friend. Thank you for listening, now let the show begin. Let's go.
SLT, what is cracking? You know who it is. We are back at it like crack addicts with another one. That's right, dropping bombs again. But before we get started, let me pay the bills real quick. That's right, I'm talking to you. We need you to show us some love. Go like, subscribe. If you in the ATL, throwing up the A, or if you're down the south, right down here where the Cajun Cowboy resides, like, follow, subscribe, do the thing, help us out. And before we get started, let me introduce my dog, my brother from another mother, Mr. Ed Reed. You know what I'm saying? He not a Saints fan, but we love him anyway. And we got a special guest. That's right, with the 12 in the background. He got a podcast. He looking all Gucci over there. Got the microphone so official, like he worked for CNN or somebody. You know what I'm saying? All right, so go check us out Wednesday nights on our YouTube channel, or we stream live. And Kyle, when do you stream live, man?
I actually don't stream live. My podcast drops every Thursday at midnight, so you can check it out. It's called the 12kylepodcast. You can find it wherever you find your podcast, and it's free.
All right, so I just kind of cheated for y'all. We got my man, the myth, the legend, Kyle from 12kylepodcast, all the way from the ATL. He hanging out with us on this episode of the SLT Collaboration series. And of course, we got a good one in store for you guys. So let's get it kicked off. Kev, what do we do anytime we got somebody else that they want to try to get branded with SLT on their chest, man? What do we do?
All right, Kyle, to initiate you into the SLT Nation. See, we already family, but to make you a part of the nation, you have got to give us your top 5 hip-hop artists.
Okay, so you talking top 5 of all time, or you talking top 5 lyricists? What are you talking top 5?
It's on you. It's your world, Daddy. We just squirrels.
All right, so I'm going to give you my top 5 lyricists of all time. Not favorites, not who sold the most records. Coming in at number 5, the Notorious B.I.G.
Ooh.
Coming in at number 4, Sean Corey Carter, Jay-Z. Coming in at number 3, the Blastmaster, KRS-One. Coming in at number 2, Nasir Jones. And coming in at number 1, the God MC, Rakim Allah.
Hey, I don't think we've ever had nobody say Rakim or KRS-One.
No, I think we've had Rakim.
Wrong.
We haven't had KRS-One.
That's right, we did have Rakim. J. Cruz said Rakim, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh,
so hey,
somebody else.
You gave us your top 5 lyricists. Give us your top 5 just hip hop artists of all time. How about that?
I guess the best way I can describe it is probably my favorites. And this is in no particular order. I'm gonna go Jay-Z. I'm gonna go Nas. I'm gonna go Outkast. A Tribe Called Quest. And 5, I'll probably go old school. Let's go Run DMC.
We're not worthy.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, growing up in high school, all we bumped was Tribe, man.
Yeah, man.
You couldn't go wrong with those dudes. Okay, so real quick, T.I. or Jeezy? T.I. or Jeezy in the verses?
That's a good question. I think T.I. will win because T.I. has bigger records, but Jeezy is the streets, man. And I mean, like, Jeezy was. They came in different times, and I think because like I'll give you just some context. Like I moved here in 1997 to Atlanta, so I've seen the transition of the city and how we went from Outkast to T.I. to Jeezy on to Gucci and all of these other guys. I'll say this. T.I. set the bar pretty high, but I think what happened was T.I.'s records got bigger and his sound got less street. And when Jeezy came through, man, it was just a different movement, man. Everybody was just loving it. And both of them rep the city very well. Exactly. I mean, the ad-libs, come on, man. And but yeah, I think to answer your question, I think T.I. will win a battle, but I'll put it like this, fellas. It depends on what song gets played and when it gets played.
Excellent point, because I've seen a couple of these verses where we thought we had a clear-cut favorite going into it, but it just depended on who played what. For example, we kind of had some disputes about the Snoop versus DMX, right?
Okay,
the Battle of the Dog. Okay,
who you think won?
Personally, I think DMX got it, but
really?
That's because that. But this the thing, though. I'm a Snoop fan, but I thought Snoop's best work came when he was with Dr. Dre. When he was doing a cameo or a feature on somebody else's music, even when he came down to Louisiana, where I'm from, Louisiana stand up, you know what I'm saying? He had an album on No Limit. I still didn't like him as much as I did, even when he was, with Dr. Dre and with the whole Death Row and all of that stuff. So this is what happened though. Watching that night, the music was 60% of it, but it was the energy, it was the timing. A lot of things came into play when they entered into the Versus arena that kind of made it. Me and my wife was just sitting there like, oh, we bobbing just as hard to Snoop as we are with DMX. Yep. And so,
the way they did the Versus is how it should have been done.
Yeah,
you both supporting each other. They both were feeling it. Like you said, the energy was off the wall, man.
Yeah, they set the bar. They set the bar. So I'm hoping we get another great versus like that with with Jeezy and Tip. I'm rooting for Tip. I'm gonna be honest. I'm rubber band, man. You know what I'm saying? Now,
T.I.'s early stuff, man, was out of here, man. It was cold.
Yeah, I mean, it was bananas.
You go back to that I'm Serious album. You go back to Trap Music. Trap Music, my favorite T.I. album. And so he's got a couple of joints he can throw off that, but when Jeezy throwing that TM 101, I mean,
Jeezy got some stuff too, though. Yeah, Jeezy got some horses.
It's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be interesting to see. I'll put it like this: the city is split because you got your T.I. fans, you got your Jeezy fans, but I mean, they all put on for the city. So
I'll say this: I think it's gonna be a 12-8 type contest.
Agreed.
I think it's gonna be. I think T.I. gonna edge him in like 3 or 4 rounds. And what's gonna happen is Jeezy, like you said, if Jeezy saved his biggest and best work to the end, I think T.I. get out to a lead, and then everybody had that look on him, and by halfway, Jeezy will catch up. Exactly. We'll at the end we'll be like, oh, that's Jeezy. But if Jeezy come out throwing his bangers, then around 17th and 18th round, I think it's gonna start. T.I. gonna still keep coming with bangers, and it's gonna make Jeezy a little bit. It's gonna weaken his arsenal, weaken his catalog a little bit.
I agree totally, 1,000%.
But you know what's crazy? Normally we do this for 30 minutes, Kyle, but man, we can do 30 minutes on music alone. My next question was gonna be Tribe versus Outkast because that's in the works as well.
Now,
when did they announce that, Kev?
It hadn't been announced yet.
Swiss Beats is trying to get this started, but I'm gonna go. I love Tribe, man, but Outkast they got too much.
It's AT aliens.
That is you trying to start a civil war.
Ooh,
yes,
because and Andre 3000 will tell you there would be no Outkast had there been no Tribe.
That's a good point.
If you go let's even if we remove the verses, if you go album for album. You could say that, and I think both have 6 albums. Tribe's first 3 albums and Outkast's first 3 albums, it's about a tie. I mean, it just depends. Like,
I don't know about a tie. I love Tribe, but that Southern Playalistic.
Oh yeah, that was.
You preach it to the choir, KT. You preach it to the choir. I think where Outkast's albums, because if you go album 4, Stankonia versus
Stankonia. Oh my God, y'all killing me right now.
You got Stankonia versus Beats, Rhymes, and Life, and I think that's where they kind of separate. And then of course, you know, the Love Movement. You know, they threw their hands up. They were done.
I agree with that one. Now, even though it has some good songs on the name, but you can tell. I didn't feel like that was really an Outkast project. I felt like that was kind of, you know what I'm saying, them doing what was that, Speaker Box and
Speaker Box, Love Below.
Yeah. So it was cool. It was very artistic. It was creative, but to me, Outkast, it was only strong when it was Outkast. You know what I'm saying? It was both of them coming. You know, me and my wife was listening to Miss Jackson the other day, and we were just the crazy and the contrast of the different styles and how unique their sound was at a time when nobody else was doing what they had the courage to do. So I can't wait. If they pull that off, that's definitely
that would be a civil war for real. It would literally be split down the middle. Hip hop would be split. I mean, and it's you could make, like you said, KT, you can make a case for Outkast. You can make a case for Tribe. It's just, I think they're going to have a hard time getting Q-Tip and Andre 3000 to sit down somewhere. But, you know, I mean, if it happens, I'm there. I'm watching. I'm rolling.
Well, I'm going to make a case for my guy 12, all right? I mean, my guy Kyle 12. 12 Kyle. Tell me, what does that mean, man? 12 Kyle. I like it. You know what I'm saying? What does that mean?
All right, 12 Kyle is... It's simple. My name is Kyle. I don't know if you know too many black people named Kyle that grew up in the 70s and 80s.
Well, living single. Yeah, come on.
I mean, outside of him, you didn't know any black people named Kyle. In fact, when I got to college, there was a guy named Kyle and a girl named Kyle. But that's my name. And then when I got to college, I went to South Carolina State University, and I played football there for 4 years. And that's the number that I wore, 12. So it's pretty simple.
Now, is South Carolina State a HBCU?
Hell yeah.
Okay, because we just talked about this last night on the air. My daughter is, we started to look at some HBCUs. I'm going to have to talk to you offline, and you tell us a little bit about South Carolina State, man.
You know what? You got a great one there in your state at Southern University. That's where my son is a freshman.
My wife has pretty much shut the gates. We turned off everything from Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi,
y'all trying to push her away. Y'all trying to push her away.
Look, the reality is we don't mind her being in a slave state, but it can't be a slave state. It can't be one of them Eli Whitney states. You know what I'm saying? It could, if they marched in that state.
Understood.
We go. That's still too fresh. It's still too fresh.
You can't go wrong with any HBCUs, man. In fact, at some point in time, probably earlier next year, I'll have a podcast about HBCUs, man. It's one where I'll interview other people that went to HBCUs. I'm looking forward to doing that. But South Carolina State is in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and I had a ball, man. Best 4 years of my life. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. Best 5.5 years of my life.
There you go. I'm the same way.
I've met my wife there, and we've been married 20 years.
All right, so you kind of did a great little segue for me. You're making my job easy. Thank you so much. Shout out to 12 Kyle. So you mentioned that you're going to talk about HBCUs in January. Off air, Kevin told me that there is a plethora of topics that you go through on your show. It's no holds barred. Tell us a little bit about the show. You know, what would the SLT fans get? You know, what should they be looking out for if they were to sit down and spend an hour listening to what you bring to the table, man? What to expect?
You're going to get definitely a variety of things. Like, it just depends on what it is that you're into at that particular time, because I try to cater the podcast to those who want to listen just to get something authentic, but doesn't sound or feel like anything else. Feels like, I always say, like, I try to bring you in the room. So it would be the same as if when you're sitting and listening to the podcast, you feel like you're in the room vibing with me at the time that I'm recording. The one thing that I don't do is I don't do current topics. And then there's no knock on people that do podcasts for current topics. I just think, like, if you see like, let's say Joe Budden podcast, and then you listen to, somebody else's podcast, and then you listen to, SLT, and then everybody's covered everything for the week. So it's like, by the time you sit down and listen to me talk about what 45 did or what happened to the Cowboys this past weekend, it's not, nobody wants to hear.
Cal. No, why the hell you have to bring the Cowboys in?
Kevin,
no, B. Joe, you see you try to slide that in like
I mean, you knew there was gonna be some shade to the. Well, let me preface this by saying I'm married to a Cowboys fan, so
bless your heart.
So
hold up, wait. This dude's a Giants fan.
Yeah, I'm a Giants fan.
Yeah, so no, you can't talk about me.
I mean, so wait, Kevin. Let's keep it a bean. Y'all keep it 100 on here, right?
Yeah, all the time.
No,
every
it
time.
depends about what you got to say.
The Cowboys haven't been relevant since Tupac was alive.
I said, stop talking to me about championships you won when you was in the 8th grade. Right. If you was still in middle school, when you was in middle school when they was winning championships, man, right. I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah, I mean, the last time they were good, Bill Clinton was in office. That'll tell you.
Folks on your roster.
Wait. In my defense, I was in high school when they won every one of those 3.
Well, Kevin, this is an indictment on your age.
That's good, brother.
You just as old as I am, though.
That's all good. And I was in college, so I mean, like, I get it. But I always got a little shade for the Cowboys. But I know y'all in Texas, so I'm gonna keep the shade a little low. But I mean, right now, you're right, KT. Being a Giants fan, ain't nothing I can say this year. But you know, when y'all start going back, the Giants don't have to go as far back because. You know, Eli, we won a couple of titles. You might have.
I was about to say, first off, y'all lost to the Ravens. What was that? 2000 when Ray Lewis murdered somebody out there.
Come on.
No. Who did? Y'all lost to the Ravens, right?
Yeah,
that was Trent Dilfer Super Bowl ring. Mm-hmm. Then y'all beat the GOAT not once but twice. And that was within the last 15 years. Yeah. But all-world Mario Manningham made that beautiful catch. David Tyree made, which is arguably the greatest Super Bowl catch of all time.
Hey man, Eli got his run in Dallas. That's where the playoffs started, in Dallas. So you know
all because of Patrick Creighton.
Golly, I forgot. Hey,
y'all still mad at Patrick Creighton, dog?
Patrick Creighton.
Come on, Kyle. That dude wide open across the middle. Romo couldn't have put that ball any better. He dropped it. Y'all go down and score. Then Romo threw him a perfect pass in the end zone. The dude just stopped running. But I digress. Yeah. Let's go back to your favorite sports team. So tell us about your sports teams.
Grew up a Giants fan. Let me go to basketball. Basketball, I support the Hawks. Don't laugh, because we need some help.
No, I like what the Hawks doing.
I like what the Hawks doing. I like what we're doing. We're gonna be okay. We're not as far along as the Mavericks and teams like that, but I think we're gonna be okay. Baseball, there's only one team that you can root for. Is my head in here? It's not here.
It's the Braves.
No, hell no.
Okay, the Braves made it this year though. The Braves.
I hate the Braves.
Matter of fact, the first baseman for the Braves just won like a Golden Glove today. Yeah, I think Freddie Freeman or something like that.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman, he a beast, man.
Yeah, he a monster. Yeah,
I hate the Braves. I hate the fact that the Braves, and I don't even call them the Braves. I call them the Cobb County Braves. I don't call them the Atlanta Braves because they moved and didn't tell anybody that they were moving to the white suburbs. But that's another story for another day. And then college football, I was telling KT before we got on here, Florida State fan. I know you are a LSU fan.
I'm down hard, but I'm gonna tell you something. So for those who are closest to me, the most intimate, when we were back in the 80s and the 90s, LSU sucked. We were not a good team. As a matter of fact, we didn't start winning until Donato came, and that was like 94, 95. And then even when Donato was there, we were still an 8-win team. And we were celebrating 8-9 wins, you know what I'm saying? But before that, I mean, I was a big Peter Ward, Charlie Ward, Deion Sanders, man. I used to love, bro. As a matter of fact,
Ward Dunn, right? That was a
Ward Dunn. He from Louisiana. He from New Orleans. So we showed a lot. You'll see a lot of support for Florida State in the state of Louisiana, man. Just because we weren't relevant at the time that they were. Hey, you know what I'm saying? They was whooping everybody ass. So
hey, B. Jones, saved by COVID, because Florida, we gonna get that this year.
And then so NFL, I go with like I said, I grew up a Giants. My uncle played for the Giants. He played 13 years for the Giants. Pro Football Hall of Famer. His name is Harry Carson. And
Harry Carson? That's who is that?
Yeah, that's my uncle.
Wow.
My mom's baby brother.
But why you saying it like we didn't know who? Well, you know what? Like you introducing him to this. Where he at? Is Harry coming? Wait, we got Harry. Did we get Harry? 13?
You know what? I forgot I was on a sports podcast with people that know sports.
That's true. That's true.
When I say Harry Carson, they're like, who? And I'm like, okay, Hall of Famer, the father of the Gatorade dunk. You know, I kind of have to give those things. But he also went to South Carolina State as well. But yeah, that's my mom's baby brother.
Okay.
So that's how I became a Giants fan. Now, when I moved here, I decided to also put some support behind, the hometown Falcons. But I had to get off that narcotic. I had to. I tried to support the boys, man. But
is the city getting behind Radio Raheem? That's what I want to know. Is the local media talking up Raheem Morris? Because I so bad want that brother to get a job, man.
You know what, B. Jones? They are, but he's not going to get the job. And
he's not the man.
It's not because he can't coach. He's been a head coach before, so we know that he can't.
That's right.
Coach. The problem is that they need a new GM too, and generally speaking, GMs don't.
That's right.
They bring in their own guys.
That's
so
right.
They were tied at the hip. I think what happened was Arthur Blank, and I think a lot of Arthur Blank, and I'm interested to see how he's going to do with this hire, because obviously what people don't tell you is that there are some great black candidates for GM and head coach. So I think what he needs to do is he has to look at that at first and foremost. I'm not saying that you got to get a black head coach or black GM, but you need to at least look and be serious about interviewing them and being serious about them bringing in as candidates.
Kyle, if he ain't been watching the media over the last 2 weeks, everybody better get serious about what's going on in Fulton County, man. Do you understand me? Hey, them folks, they coming out. Right. Chocolate City is showing up, and they telling you black people can do it, and they better pay attention, man. Hey, it matters. We matter. We matter.
I couldn't agree more, B. Jones, and I'm hopeful that that's what they will do, because, like I said, and it's not. I think Raheem Morris right now is actually auditioning to be coaching someplace else.
Right. That's a good point.
I think that's what he's doing, and I think he's done a great job as far as being able to take. Because honestly, Quinn and the GM should have been fired last year, right?
And true.
2 years ago.
No, 2 years ago. You get 2 years, or you get a year and a half, and you get at least 2 seasons after making it to a Super Bowl.
But you blew the Super Bowl.
You blew it, but you gave everybody hope. You gave everybody hope. You caused a lot of stress. A lot of people
man, let me tell you,
drinking bleach now.
The whole world was rooting for the Falcons.
Everybody.
If for no other reason, and I know you're a Saints fan, if for no other reason because they were going against the Patriots. Everybody rooted for the Falcons. And you had the game. It would be different if you came out there and they blew you out or whatever like that, but you can honestly say that you had the game and you blew it. So yeah, I had to get off that narcotic, man. I mean, I wish the Falcons well. I want to see a championship in the city before I pass away.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. This is the second time the Falcons did burn me, so I'll never root for the Falcons in the Super Bowl. Do you remember when they was doing the Dirty Bird? When they first started, went up there to Minnesota and whiz ass whooped Randy Moss and Chris Carter and them 44-10, and then went to the Super Bowl. The boy ran the kickoff back, and I'm like, all right, hey, the Falcons here to play the Super Bowl. I was rooting for the Falcons, and they didn't score another point.
I knew it was over when the man of the year got arrested for soliciting a prostitute the night before the Super Bowl. I knew it was over.
Really?
Yeah, you don't remember that? Eugene
No, I did not.
He was their starting safety. He got arrested for trying to get some the night before the game in Miami.
Well, I tell you what, that's the second time them Dirty Birds have done that, man.
Yeah, so you can't trust them, man. Can't trust them. So yeah, I got off that narcotic.
But not only that, why do they have to pay for it, man? I don't get it. All right, so let's get back to your podcast, man.
Right.
The 12 Cal podcast. Mm-hmm. How did they get started?
It's a good question. What happened was back in 2007, I started a blog, and I still have the blog. I don't write as much as I used to, and I just kind of evolved from there, and then I started a internet radio show. It's called the 12 Radio Show. And I did that for 5 years. I did that in 2010, and I did it for 5 years. And over a period of time, especially toward the end, I realized that more people were they weren't listening to it live, and so it was a 2-hour show, no commercials, no breaks, no nothing, just me talking for 2 straight hours. And I realized that more people were listening later. And one of my boys was like, man, you should make it a podcast. And I was like, word? Like, I don't know about that. He's like, yeah. And so I thought about it and I was like, okay. So then I just kind of just basically converted the radio show and made it condensed and just made it into a podcast. And so next week I'll celebrate 5 years as far as having a podcast. And like I said, man, I just try to get on the mic and just talk about whatever I feel like talking about. Try to keep it light. I don't delve into politics or religion and stuff like that. But I try to keep it simple and keep it fun. I will tell some stories from time to time about stuff that's happened to me or stuff that like I did a podcast once about my first trip to the strip club. And that was an adventure because it was here in Atlanta and I was in college at the time. So it was one of the reasons why I moved here. That and Freaknik. I did a Freaknik podcast too, which was pretty funny as well. But yeah, just really, I try to give people that vibe of just being in the room and being able to vibe out with me. So yeah, that's kind of how the podcast started. And like I said, it's fun, man. I enjoy it. I really do.
All right, and so 5 years you've been doing it, and I could tell just from the way you talk, you kind of got that flavor, right? Like like Craig Mack, you know what I'm saying? Put that flavor in your ear.
There you go.
Right? So what else do you do besides podcasting, bro?
Man, I just try to chill. My wife and I have 4 kids, so without we have 2 in college, and then we got 2 here, and it's like just running around. So when I'm not podcasting, man, I'm just trying to chill. I watch TV, but I don't watch TV like everybody else does. Pretty much when I'm watching TV, honestly, it's sports. I watch TV, and then when I get a chance, man, I'll get out there, swing the pole a little bit on the golf course.
Let me sign you up, man. I'm finna start. I'm about to work on starting us a guys weekend retreat. It's gonna be a golf tournament in it.
Hey.
I'm putting you on. We might have to go to South Carolina to do this.
Hey,
thing,
let me know. I'm gonna tell y'all now. I'm a scratch golfer. What I mean by that is whatever I score, I scratch it off and write something up.
Hey, me too, man. I got no business being on nobody's course.
I'm just out there having fun, man. So I try to.
Any Masters predictions? Tiger back to back?
Nah, it's gonna be hard, man, because of the weather. Like it's warm here, warmer than it normally is in November, but it's I think they're expecting rain. I know it drizzled some today, and it's supposed to rain a little bit this weekend. So the ball really, if you can keep your ball dry, if you can keep it, out of in pretty much in the fairways. They said the fairways are pretty smooth, but what happens is when you have a golf ball on a wet green, good luck. It could go any way. So it's going to really depend on how far these guys can actually drive the ball. The ones that can drive the ball the furthest probably will have more success because your putt game is probably not going to be on point if the greens are wet. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm a watch Tiger. I know he shot I think they said he shot a 68 today. So I'm gonna check out the highlights tonight.
Kyle, I can no longer call you Kyle. I know that. I know I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but from now on, your name is Jack, sir, because you are literally a jack of all trades. This man just gave us the best golf analysis on SportsLifeTalk ever. That was the best golf. Hey, shout out.
Yeah, that's the truth. That
was the best golf analyst we've ever had on SportsLifeTalk. Just happened live. Mr. 12. He brought it to you. You know what I'm saying? So how do you hope to impact your audience and tell us about what the progression or the goals for the show? Where do you see this thing going over the next, 5, doubling up? We celebrate that 10th anniversary.
You know what, man, that's a good question. I think really what I try to do is each year before the year starts, I'd like around this time, maybe December, I sit down and write just some goals and some things that I want to talk about. I never worry about the numbers as far as like who's listening and how many people are listening. Just to give you an idea, they're probably about, on average, 500 to 1,000 people that listen each week, right? So it's not the Joe Budden podcast, it's not Joe Rogan, it's not. But that's fine for me because what I want is I want to keep the show authentic to where people keep coming back and getting something from it. One of the things that I learned about the podcast was that, everybody's not going to listen to every single podcast. It's just not, just based on your topics, because if I have let's say a lot of women that listen to the podcast, if I'm on there talking about the best wide receivers to ever play the game, honestly, not a lot of women going to, they're not going to. they're not going to tune in. Or they might tune in for 5 minutes just to see what I'm talking about, but after that, that's it. If I'm talking about, dating and relationships, you might have some guys that don't tune into that. So my goal is just honestly, man, just to give people something funky, something they can vibe to every single week. I don't skip a week. I drop the podcast every Thursday at midnight. And so for those who subscribe, they get that. Every now and then I'll drop a bonus podcast in there. But I just want people to have something funky to listen to, something that they can vibe to, and that's it. It sounds simple, man, but to be honest, that's the only goal, just to make something dope every time.
So let me help them out. So Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, you watch a Sports Life Talk. Thursday, you rocking with my guy, Jack, a.k.a. 12 Kyle, in that dope podcast. So you already got 2 hours booked for the week, fam. It's just that easy.
There you go.
All right, so what advice would you give someone who's starting a podcast?
That's a great question. I think one of the things I would tell someone is just be authentically you, because there are probably 10 million podcasts out there. You know what I'm saying? And so, people are going to gravitate to things that they can either relate to, or things that are funny, or things that are authentic. One of the three. And sometimes you can be all of the three at the same time. And I think when you do that, and you don't necessarily worry about how many people are listening, everything else kind of takes care of itself. And the reason why I say that is because, I'm sure you guys can identify with this. You probably have people who listen every week that you don't even know, but there are people that you know that never listen. And
Preach.
You send them a link, you send them
Preach.
the clips.
Nah, that's not our fans. That's not our fans.
Preach.
So, I'll give an example. Like, my mother loves me to death. I don't think my mom's ever heard my podcast before. I know my dad has, but and then also given the fact that we're on these mediums, everybody doesn't have the time to necessarily sit and listen. Like KT, you said you were in school, but you have a long drive, you have a commute. So even when I wasn't working from home, when I had previous jobs, I would be traveling to work. And if you've been in Atlanta, if we're known for nothing else, we're known for traffic. So if I'm sitting in traffic for an hour, I can listen to 2 or 3 podcasts like that. So I think one of the things I would tell people is just be authentically you. Don't worry about how many people are listening. I don't care if you got 2 people listening. You satisfy those 2 people. More importantly, you satisfy yourself with everything that you put out.
Yeah. Boom.
If you satisfy with it, then it doesn't matter how many people listen. But I think Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say my mom watched one show. Kevin started cussing and stuff about the Cowboys. She said y'all lost. And guess who her favorite cast member was?
Who?
Kevin.
Do you want to tell them why I'm her favorite?
That's semantics. What's the next question? All right, man. So you just kind of touched on something. So being authentic is the deal. It's the game. It's how you get there. So what makes 12 Kyle authentic?
I think really just being able to connect with people. I think it's what I try to do is, like I said, I try to make the podcast to where anybody can listen. I'm not, getting on the podcast and beating you over the head with stats. I'm not getting on the podcast and just beating you up with a whole bunch of opinions. Even when I tell stories, I try to tell the stories in a way to where it's comical, because a lot of stuff is funny. Like I told a story one time on the podcast about the time I shot a loaded gun in the house. I know, right? Just look at your faces. Everybody gives the same look. So while that is scary, and I was in the 10th grade at the time, nobody told me about the bullet in the chamber. That's another story for another day. While that's scary, I was able to make the story funny. So everybody who listens to it gets a kick out of hearing that story. Of course, it wasn't funny back then, but I think really just when you're doing a podcast, you just try to be yourself, and then everything else kind of takes care of itself. I think one of the things that I've seen from other podcasters is people get started and then maybe they don't necessarily get the vibe or get the quote unquote success that they want or whatever, and they're measuring it by someone else's standards. I can't measure myself by the Joe Budden podcast or the Questlove Supreme or whomever else. I just have to do what I have to do, just like you guys do what you do, and you're authentic. And I think people gravitate towards that. And I think that's the key thing for you to have any type of success, whatever you deem as success and longevity.
All right, so I'm gonna try to. This is off script.
Go
This
ahead.
is not planned SLT. So let me see if I can trip Jack up, right? So, what is your opinion on the argument that is taking place in the boxing world right now? Who is, in your opinion, the pound for pound, the current pound for pound #1 fighter?
That's a good question. First
Did
of
I
all,
trip you up? Did I trip you up?
well, you did trip me up because I honestly, boxing, when I watch boxing now, because okay, let me preface this. I'm a little bit older than the two of you. Just not by much, but I'm a little bit older.
Okay.
So me and boxing go way back. I mean, like I saw Muhammad Ali. I'm 47. I saw Muhammad Ali. He was on the downside of his prime.
Right.
We would see boxing on Saturday afternoons on ABC at like 5 o'clock. So imagine watching a championship fight. You ain't got to pay for it. You know what I'm saying? So I go way back. So I saw the Marvin Haglers, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Mike Tysons, the Lennox Lewis, all of those guys. So when people say pound for pound, I guess my question is like, what is it measured by? Is it measured by record? Like you could take a guy like Floyd. And while I have my own issues with Floyd in the ring was incredible.
Yeah.
But you have to look also at his competition. Now, Floyd can't help his competition. He didn't have a Sugar Ray Leonard to box. He didn't have a Roberto Duran. So it's
But he beat everybody he could beat.
Yeah, he beat everybody.
De La Hoya, Shane Mosley, Zab Judah.
But he
you
also,
name
Yeah, but
but he
does he
also
say-
ran too in the ring.
yeah. Let's be honest too. Towards the end, he started picking fighters that he knew he was going to beat.
Right. I mean,
So-
fighting.
but like you said,
They forced the Canelo fight. Floyd told Canelo, "You're not ready yet. This ain't your season." They forced that fight.
You're right.
Now, hey, he put on a boxing class on that dude.
Yeah.
He did.
Because I don't like Mayweather, but he's one of the greatest ever. I just
He's
don't like
one
him.
of the greatest. He's one of the greatest. So, I mean, to answer your question, I really don't know who I could say is the pound for pound because if you go pound for pound, I think it's based on what you're seeing right now in this particular generation. But when you scan it back, I mean, like where does Floyd stack up to the Sugar Rays? That's a great question. I really don't have an answer for. I think it's a matter of opinion, and then you also have to look at what the boxer's actually doing in the ring. So yeah, you stumped me a little bit on that one.
Nah, no worries. I like it. That's what I do. That's what I got to find something to throw you off a little bit. You mentioned you was married for 28 years, right?
20 years.
20 years. I'm sorry. I'm at hey, I'm from Louisiana, so my math is a little bit sketchy.
20. We just did 20.
You said you're 47, 27 years. You was married at 20. No, just before you started college, even though you met her on the campus in South Carolina State. All right, so we have a segment on the show that is called Uncut Gems. Since we off the cuff right now, we had a question that came up not too long ago. One of the young ladies said, if a guy invites you to travel and you're going out of town, is it an expectation that is it automatically implied that you are sleeping with this man? So now let's see if that throws you off a little bit.
Yeah, that's implied. I mean, we grown, right? We grown, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
If we were 17 and 18, no, that's we're kids. But if we're going someplace tropical, or if we're going anywhere, we could be going
to your cousin's bar mitzvah.
Yeah, we could be going down the street. I mean, it would be. I think it would be criminal if you didn't set the expectations and say what it is, because I think that's sometimes where we run into problems. Where we don't say what it is we expect and tell them what exactly we want. And so keep in mind that if you're going to, I don't know, let's say Cabo. If you're going to Cabo, that's a level of commitment. I mean, it is what it is. Now, whether or not you're my wife or not, that is a level of commitment. So
don't matter.
If we're going to Cabo, yeah, I'm going to have certain expectations. I have chosen you to travel with me. I could travel alone. So yeah, I'm going to expect something.
Pretty much, if I'm paying $500, more than $500, Shoot, as soon as we get in the room, everything should be falling off.
Kevin, what can we talk about, man? He talked about music. We know he dope at music. We talked about sports. He got that fire in sports. He can talk relationship. What we missing, Kevin? Culinary? What is your go-to culinary dish?
Wow, that's a good question. Go-to dish is lasagna. I like to make lasagna. That's
5 layer, 7 layer.
I just do 5, man.
All right, yeah, I think that's a black thing. I think because my thing is I want mine to be 5, but I want it to be packed tight.
Yeah, I want to be packed tight.
I don't want all that gooey noodle. I need more meat. I need more ricotta.
Yeah, because you think about it, if it's around the next day, you want to be able to still, be able to bite through it and still get that taste all the way at the end.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, that's probably my go-to, man. But I just like anybody else from the South, man, I love to grill. So that's my thing. And it don't matter what the weather is. I'm outside. I'm outside on the grill all the time. You go to my Instagram, I'm on the grill a lot. So especially in summertime. What else? Wasn't there a question about playing in COVID or something like that? Did you send a COVID?
Yeah. We're going to get to that. Let me ask you this one first. So let me ask you this one. Come on, play.
Okay. Hey, bro. I'm here.
All right. So tell us something sports related that's true that almost nobody agrees with you on.
There is no such thing as the GOAT.
We kind of had this debate.
And the reason why is because especially when we're talking sports, you can't have a GOAT because I won't say everybody, most people will form their argument, and I put that in quotations, their argument to support whatever their belief is.
Agreed.
So
not only that, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Not only do they form their opinion based on their beliefs, but it's what that feeling of what I watched gave me. And
exactly.
what I mean by that is I personally feel like LeBron statistically is the GOAT. When he finishes his career, he would have played longer. He would have accomplished more. His record statistics will be through the roof. But I was around when Jordan was doing what he was doing. I was there when he was crossing over Gary Payton and ending the Cavalier season on these daggers. And I was there when Gatorade and Nike and McDonald's was putting commercials out left and right. He changed. He basically evolved basketball, fashion, and just about literally, even if you think about movies and music, Jordan played a part in introducing sports and media all the way. So to me, he's going to always be my GOAT, but right. I do get what you're saying. It's tough to have a GOAT conversation.
Yeah, it is because and it's funny because I was having this conversation with my son earlier. I think, like you said, it goes back to the eras. So if you say, okay, well, like you said, I saw Jordan in his prime. I saw Kobe in his prime. I saw LeBron in his prime. I saw Kareem on the downside of his career. I saw Magic in his prime. I saw Bird in his prime. I didn't see Bill Russell. I didn't see Wilt Chamberlain. My dad did. So when people ask me about that, I always say, well, I have to, for people that I didn't see, I have to defer to old school because they could tell you, like my dad will tell, he'll tell people in it. He's like, we'll eat Shaq's lunch. And that's saying a lot to me because we knew how dominant Shaq was in his prime. I mean, like nobody could stop Shaq. Shaq was he was unreal, so, and I don't take anything away from LeBron, and I agree with you 1,000%, B. Jones. I think when it's all said and done, LeBron statistically will have every major statistical record. That doesn't make him the GOAT, though. I think now when you measure LeBron, because honestly, and I heard this on a podcast once, LeBron is more Muhammad Ali than he is Jordan. LeBron stuff off the court will far cement his legacy than anything that he's ever done on the court.
I agree, and I've never really thought about it. I'm glad we're approaching it because I didn't quite understand. If you would have told me that comment pre-COVID, I would not have understood it. I would have said, man, what you talking about? He got some movies, he's doing. But once COVID started, there are very few people who can say, hey, bump your money, You know what I'm saying? Bump this situation, bump your trophy. LeBron took that opportunity, and he basically, that everybody gives the Milwaukee Bucks and the Toronto Raptors credit for the shutdown, but they don't read the articles where Stephen A. Smith wrote about how LeBron, the whole room in Orlando waited for the Lakers to show up, waited for LeBron to show up. And they said, what are we doing, Bron?
Right.
And Bron said, hey, we ain't wasting no more time, and walked out. That's why LeBron, I agree with you. And when this is all said and done, hey, have you been noticing LeBron lately? He been tweeting people after boxing matches. He been tweeting people after these phenomenal games. He tweeted Cam Newton on Monday night.
Yeah,
He's starting to get more of a voice, and I don't want to say it's a political influence, but he's starting to have his hands in more stuff than it's just NBA basketball.
You know what it is, man? LeBron gets it. And I think one of the things that people, like I did a podcast probably about a year and a half ago, and I called the podcast, Why Don't You Like LeBron? You don't have to be a fan of LeBron. You don't have to be a fan of the Lakers. You don't have to be a fan of any team he's played for. I don't understand how you can watch basketball and not watch what you're seeing and be appreciative of what it is that he's doing on the court. What he's done off the court is immeasurable. To your point, B. Jones, when you look at what happened this past summer, George Floyd, they shut everything down. They were like, okay, look, we're not playing. When the NBA said, okay, well, what do you guys want? One of the things that LeBron, and I haven't heard him get any credit for this, one of the things LeBron said was, look, we want to make sure that there's a voting initiative. We want as many people to vote as possible. We want to open up our arenas and have people vote, in the arenas. And what I'll finish off with that is, and I'll use my city of Atlanta. They opened up State Farm Arena where the Hawks play. They were able to accommodate hundreds of thousands of people in Fulton County, one of the counties that was responsible for Georgia being flipped.
Georgia going blue. That's right.
Was because of you had a movement and people and a drive of people led by Stacey Abrams moving towards, okay, well, hey, it makes a difference if I don't have to wait to election day. If I can go to State Farm Arena and be in and out in 10 minutes, why not do that? And there were so many first-time voters. There were so many people who never took a part of the political process. And I think LeBron and the NBA in particular did not get not that they needed the credit, but that was very instrumental in opening up arenas where you had a situation where now you have more people that have the opportunity to vote. And, we know nobody wants to go vote and stand in line for 5 hours, but if there's some place where you go and you go in 20 minutes and be in and out, you're going to do it. And so that initiative, his initiative, being political, being aware of his surroundings and his impact, that's why I say I call him the off the court GOAT. Like I said, I can't say that there's necessarily a GOAT. I will say Jordan is the best player that I've seen with my own 2 eyes live.
Ooh, I like that.
But LeBron off the court, nobody's only Ali. And at this point, fellas, I can't say that he hasn't passed Ali. And that's saying a lot because Muhammad Ali is my favorite athlete of all time.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you the COVID question, but now I got to ask you this because I brought this up on air. Why is it with us in the black barbershops, the black community, why do we always have to say someone is better than the other? You know what I'm saying? I bet you won't go to a white barbershop and they say, hey, Dirk is better than Larry Bird.
You know they have these arguments in Supercuts.
No, they don't. How dare you, Jim? Yeah. You know gosh darn well.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying, Kyle? It's a culture thing. It's like, why can't we have 3 GOATs? Why can't we have Kobe?
You know what it is,
Jordan,
KT?
LeBron. Why is it we always have to one-up one another?
You know what it is, KT? Because there's a certain level of attachment that we have to that particular person. So I came up in the Jordan era. So there's a lot of people like me that they're attached to Jordan. Now, if a kid, or I don't even want to say kid, if a young man said, hey, LeBron's the best player I've ever seen. I never saw Jordan. I saw YouTube clips of Jordan. Okay. You got no argument from me. If you say, well, Kobe is my favorite basketball player of all time. He is the best in my eyes. Okay. You got no, you know what I'm saying? But it's their level of attachment. We do the same thing with MCs. I mentioned Rakim. If somebody said Drake was the greatest MC of all time,
But you know what? I'm so glad you said that, because me and Kevin, we had a spirited debate about this on air, as we usually do. We find something, and Kevin keeps going on with this. Why do we have to compare? Because of the Rakims, because of what started them in Brooklyn, New York, with MCs standing out in the corner. The whole MC industry was based off of battle raps. It's not because we want to one up Kevin. It's because when Eminem is sitting down and he's about to write a song, he understands that this song has to be compared to something. Either it's going to be compared to earlier works of Eminem, or it's going to be compared to what's out right now that's hot. But you can't go into anything and not have that comparison. And guess what? When LeBron puts on those sneakers and he went out there and performed in Orlando this past summer, or I guess you could say this past fall in September, he knew what was on the line. He knew that, hey, I got to win this ring so I can stay competitive as the GOAT. You just can't put on the sneakers every day and say it's about the money, because at some point in time, the money becomes irrelevant, especially if you're in the GOAT. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some cats right now that's sitting on some benches. They need their $2.8 million because that's, you know what I'm saying? But when you start talking about LeBron money, when you start talking about Kobe money, them cats, it was all strictly a drive. It was a dog. It was competitive. And they had to fuel themselves. So that's why the GOAT conversation is important, Kevin. It's important because it matters to them. Not because it matters to us, because it matters to them.
Let me
Okay, I totally agree with everything you say. But here's my thing, though. Why is it when we do it, it always has an end in beef, and then we end up losing a life over something silly, over jealousy? Do you see what I'm saying? That's where I'm going with it. And we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on, man. 12 Kyle, come here for that.
But you know, it's all good. I think it's to B. Jones's point. It's about competition, and we've been raised
in competition,
especially as young black men. I don't care where you from. I don't care where you grew up or whoever. You always have been competitive, and you've been taught to try to be the best. And I think, in LeBron's heart of hearts, he probably thinks that he's the best. And Jordan's I've never heard Jordan say that he's the GOAT, but in his heart of hearts, he wanted to just do what he had to do and let everybody else decide that. So, and same for Kobe.
And Kobe's last, even as he was retired, I remember him doing. I think it was not Jay Leno. I don't know why I can't think. Jimmy Kimmel. Okay. It was either Jimmy Kimmel or one of those guys. They asked Kobe, who's the GOAT in your opinion? And guess what Kobe said? Me. Absolutely.
You're supposed to. And I think, even thinking about Kobe, man, like I think, and I'll share this with you guys. And I mentioned on the podcast before, like, I was upset with myself because there was a long point of Kobe's career where I didn't appreciate him because I was too busy hating.
Me too. And oh my God.
And it wasn't until he hurt his Achilles. I'm like, yo, I was really rooting for him to come back, and he came back, and I watched every Kobe game that I could. And even now, like, I'll see some games or some clips and stuff. I'll be like, damn, did I see that? I'm like, oh yeah, I probably was watching and probably was hating, wishing he missed those shots. And it's like, and now he's gone. So now it hurts even more because it's like I went at the time where I really, really appreciated him, the latter part of his career, and his post career was even doper. And then he's gone. And it's like, I think even a guy like LeBron, getting back to LeBron, to your point, B. Jones, we have to appreciate what we're seeing because we're not going to see this forever.
Nope.
Trust me, I knew when I saw Jordan, I was never going to see that again. But I tell you what, that dude in LA was pretty damn close. He tried his damnness to be Mike. He couldn't be Mike, but he's as close as I'll ever see. And I mean, LeBron, his game is different. I don't compare Kobe and LeBron because it's like, and even Kobe and Mike, it's like comparing a Benz and a Beamer. It just depends on your preference, whichever you like. But just appreciate what it is that we see, because when it's gone, it's gone. And I mean, honestly, with LeBron and his age, we don't know how long we're going to see him play at this level, but you can make a case that he's actually getting better, and he's older.
I agree. Oh my God, Kyle, we're going to have to do this more often, man.
Hey, man.
You got my juices flowing right now. Hey, I'm going to say this, and this is real petty on my behalf, okay? You know why I hated on Kobe up until Kobe, I want to say, he had won that championship with Gasol and buying him, and I was still mad at that point. But I started hating Kobe because of the Shaq beef, and I'm a diehard Shaquille fan.
Same here.
I mean, that was my guy, LSU grad. I follow him. And I followed that dude all the way from Orlando to LA to Miami to Phoenix to Boston. It didn't matter. Shaq was putting on the jersey. I was rooting for him.
Right.
And I missed the bulk of Kobe's career on that hate train.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me how my ass tastes.
I remember that joint.
All right, Kyle, man, we went on longer than I expected, but we got a couple more questions, man. We're gonna let you get to your family.
I got all night. They ain't worried about me.
All right. So how has COVID affected your show?
Good question. I think COVID really has made me record actually more because it's allowed me, just like everybody else, you got to sit down. You can't go nowhere. So it's like instead of a Friday night, going out with the wife and going to a nice restaurant, grabbing some dinner, we might just eat in, and then next thing you know, it's like, okay, she falls asleep. Okay, just 10 o'clock, nothing else going on, nothing on TV. Might as well record. And so I found myself doing that a lot, and just collaborating with other podcasters, and so I think COVID really has allowed me to be more creative. I think one of the things that I've always said that what I want, and go back to a question that you asked earlier, B. Jones, these streams and these formats, we don't know how long they're going to be around. But what I do want is, as far as the legacy of this podcast is, if and when, long time from now, when I become a grandfather, great grandfather, they can turn it on and, hear how I sounded and hear what I was about and hear what I, learn a little bit about me. Like, I don't know much about my grandfathers, unfortunately. And one of them passed away when I was 3, and the other passed away when I was in college. But because he had a fractured relationship with my father, I never got to know him like that. I only talked to him on the phone like twice. So what I want this podcast to be, as far as like a legacy, is something that, the later generations of my family can, take a listen to. I mean, because think about it like this. How cool would it be if you could press a button and listen to your grandmother talk, or your great grandmother?
Hey.
You know what I'm saying?
Just archives. You got, 1,000 episodes just to sit and rock with them and just get to learn them and hear the stories about the gun shooting in the house and the first time Grandpa went to the strip club. All of that is archived, man. Exactly. All of that is archived.
Exactly. And it goes back to that old 8-ball MJG line. He said, if I die, press play and bring me back to life. And that's what it is. So yeah, I think I answered your question, but yeah, that's what COVID did, man. It slowed everything down, and I think it worked out for the better.
All right, so let me ask you this: who is the most famous person to like one of your posts or follow you?
Because I really don't. To be honest, man, I don't follow I follow very few. I don't follow any celebrities per se. Because I'm not really interested in I'll probably say Questlove.
That's dope still.
Yeah, Quest. I think he retweeted something. I tweeted at him or something like that. That was years ago. Either Questlove or Fonte, one of the two. Those probably the biggest celebrities that I follow. I don't follow any athletes, anything like that. So, I mean, I follow KT. So.
I am pretty famous, man. I'm a good person to follow. You know what I'm saying? I think we had Tony Hawk that liked something.
I know Tony Hawk showed us some love. Yep.
Okay.
Brian Urlacher liked
we had an MMA fighter.
Okay.
Yeah, the one that whooped that one dude.
Yeah, Polly Viana. Yeah, okay. She showed us some love. We've had a few.
Cappy Pondexter, didn't she show us some love?
I think she liked it.
Man.
Yeah, she liked something of ours. And what's the boxer? Shields. What's her name?
I didn't know Clarissa showed us love, man.
You remember we did the whole thing between her and Ali? I tweeted I hit her up on Instagram. I tagged her in the post. I said, who will win out of those two? And she responded and said, her. Clarissa.
Oh, man, I didn't know that, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
So we smiled big time. You know what I'm saying?
I like it.
All right, Kyle, man, we had a great time. But before we go, can you give the SLT Nation your social media handles?
Oh, definitely. You can catch me on social media at 12kyle, 12KYLE across the board. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. That's it, man. And the podcast has its own on Twitter, 12Kyle podcast as well. So yeah, like I said, the podcast drops every Thursday at midnight. It's a lot of different topics, man. Nothing current, but even when I talk about stuff in the past, like I said, it's got that down home feel to it, to where you can really understand and relate and get some fun out of it too as well.
Well, man, on behalf.
Hold on, B. Jones. You want to give any shout outs to anybody?
Man, shout out to y'all, man. I mean, again, because me and KT, we talked about this, man. Probably it's been a couple of years, right?
It's been a couple of years.
It's been a minute. So, man, shout out to y'all, man. I'm glad when he hit me up, I subscribed on YouTube, man. I went back and looked at some of the shows, man, and I said, man, I don't know. I said, man, I gotta get my energy level up for B. Jones. B. Jones bring it every single episode. It don't matter who. So it's like, I've made myself a reminder because I've been watching after it posts, but I made myself a reminder because most Wednesday nights, if I'm not putting the finishing touches on my podcast, I'm not doing anything. So I made myself a reminder to catch y'all live.
Man, we love to have you, brother. Love to have you. Come on, man.
Man, hey, just ask. I'm always down to talk. I'm not shy by any stretch.
We got some big stuff coming, man. We about to expand some stuff. So we already, like I said, you on the list.
Hey, man,
you are on the list. Well, man, on behalf of Gemini Jones, Miss Manhattan, KD, and Surge, they wasn't here to be here to rock with us.
No
but
doubt. Shout out to them.
We, as a family, want to thank you, and we want to welcome you to the SLT Nation. You are now fam. Hey, when we out there in Buckhead, we gonna holler at you. You know what I'm saying?
If y'all come to town, holler at me for real.
Hey,
we coming. You said you putting some on the grill. We will be there.
off top. Well, if you're still listening to us, we thank you for coming. Another episode. Hey, Kevin, you know what I've been wondering? It is 11/12, and we got Mr. 12. Did you do that on purpose? Did that happen? Was that organic?
Come on, man. I would like to take credit for it, but I can't do
that. So if you ain't got your PS4, your PS5 today, enjoy this episode.
You better wait till December. Them hoes going up right now. You better wait.
Hey, let me do it like Kevin. Thank you for watching another episode of Sports Life Talk, where life without sports is just talk. Follow us and like us on Sports Life Talk at Instagram and Facebook. Nah, just messing with you. Come rock with us. We love y'all. Yeet!
His mama loves my voice.
5,000.